We've got very naughty laughs and we've got very naughty minds, and we kind of like, we were very mischievous girls.
It's all going to be different, Chevrolet.
It's always good fun, it's always a laugh, there's always something happening. They're really close mates. So I think it's going to be a killer sort of tearing them apart.
What kept us glued to the screens, though, was wondering what they would get up to next.
They love to go off on a good old jaunt. I'm not sitting in the back again, that made me feel really sick.
Our first memorable adventure was the trip to Brighton.
We've got to get ourselves down to Brighton.
She was after Gary.
I take it this is Gary Ox.
Heather had fallen in love with Gary almost overnight.
I think I love him, Shil.
And nothing was going to stop her.
I've got to find Gary.
You calm down, who made you boss?
Sorry, I just love him.
The Heather and Shirley stuff with Brighton was great. It was kind of our first road trip out, as it were.
Gary Hobbs, get ready for the night of your life.
That's when you really saw coming to the front how caring she was of her for taking her to Brighton to meet Gary.
It could be anywhere.
You know, she even nicked Pac's car to get her there.
Oi! That's my car!
And how protective Shirley was of her.
Heather was in a karaoke bar singing, and she was quite sort of sad because she couldn't find Gary.
You gonna let me buy you a drink?
A young man starts to chat her up. Heather is very flattered, and Shirley's watching from the sidelines with those eyes, and he kisses Heather.
I pulled the pig! The master does it again! I told you I would!
It was a dare, it was a bet that he could kiss Heather. And this is where you see Shirley turn into the Incredible Hulk. And literally just go for him like a ton of bricks and be completely protective of Heather, who is absolutely devastated and distraught and has run off.
Shirley finds Heather crying on the pier.
Come, I'll take you back where you belong.
And I think for both characters, we saw a side of them that we'd never seen before. Shirley got to be a parent, and we got to see the kind of vulnerable side of Heather.
This was just a sign of things to come, as Hev's love for the Wham frontman led them to another one of their most memorable misadventures.
Oh! I'm nearly there, Shil!
Climbing the wall to get into George Michael's house was a bit of comedy genius.
You can get... Hev? It was just so daft, but then it was so Heather. For her, it was her finest moment. Was it him?
Oh, I didn't see. Breaking into George Michael's house. It was our idea, actually, because we actually did go round there one night and knock on his door. Well, I knocked on his door and then ran away and left her standing at the doorstep. We came back and told the writers what we did, and that's consequently how they got that episode in.
It's George's bins!
I'm sure George Michael must be a Hev fan.
And of course, who could forget the infamous trip to Southend?
Southend 2011? My Hev Shell moment that just made me laugh out loud was the lesbian convention.
It's a little bit different.
Different. You brought me here as your lesbian lover.
No, it's not like that. It's just a technicality.
Consider yourself dumped.
It was great that Heather had Shirley over for once, you know. Showed she wasn't Cecilia after all.
Sorry, but this is the couple's welcome dinner.
Yeah, but we just had our first row. There's just this glorious moment. I think Heather's just said to Andrew, you know we're not really lesbians, don't you?
I didn't think you was. Not that you can tell.
And then the door opens, Bonnie Tyler does her sounds, and Shirley comes strutting through the door.
I think it's one of the most magic moments.
Like you said, can't tell.
It's just fantastic, that whole episode.
Antics aside, there was always the ages-old girly issue that they could never agree on.
There's Heather and Shirley, and then there's men.
I reckon you and Shirley have got the right idea anyway.
How do you mean?
No, you've got each other, you don't need a bloke.
Men have always got in the way of Heather and Shirley's kind of relationships.
Men to Heather and Shirley meant something different. For Heather, finding a man would be her absolute salvation and the dream ending.
The problem with the man of your dreams, Ev, is where he lives. In your dreams. Out there in the real world, he don't exist.
What? He better had do.
For Shirley, it was just another Herbert that came along that was probably going to be wrecking her life.
The only time a man's ever told me I was beautiful is if he's guilty or he wants something or both.
Yeah, well, not this time, all right?
I tend to get really annoyed whenever she meets a bloke because I always think they're going to take the piss out of her.
Yeah, that's one way to deal with blokes.
No, I think it's about time you apologised.
Whenever Shirley's busy with a boyfriend, Heather tends to be dumped and dismissed, only to be picked up the next time Shirley's feeling a bit lonely.
This was never truer than when Shirley decided to move in and help a drug-addicted Phil instead of keeping hold of their flat, leaving poor old Hev homeless.
The time that Shirley chose Phil over Heather, I think Heather was really hurt by this because she needed her mate more than anything.
We were doing this together. 2 mums, that's what you said.
That must have been very hard for Shirley. Heather just sees it as complete betrayal.
We don't stand a chance, do we? He's always going to come first, every time.
Shirley's just brutally honest with Heather and tells her that the most important thing in her life is Phil.
He needs me.
We need you, Cheryl.
I want back what I need! I ain't George's mum and I ain't yours! It's about time you stood on your own 2 feet and grew up!
That was quite a poignant part of their relationship, and I think it took a little bit of time to kind of resurrect again.
They had these blazing rows where you'd think, oh my goodness, that's it, it's all over.
It's always the same with you, isn't it? Some bloke comes along and I always get pushed into the back door.
Oh, Ed, that ain't true.
Often you will see Shirley being quite horrible to Heather because she wants her to be more confident, more ballsy, stand up for herself, don't let people tread on you, because that's Shirley's motto.
They were never going to be over, they were always going to be together, that friendship's always there.
I'm sorry, Ed. They're always there to help each other out, no matter what circumstances. It would have always been Hev and Cheryl, even if she got married to Andrew. It would have always been Hev and Cheryl, without a doubt. Different when they were their own partners, but very much the same when they were together.
Well, we'll never know now, because it was all ripped away from them with one fatal blow delivered by one of Walford's youngest ever criminals. So where did it all go wrong for Ben?
There's a very twisted, messed up little boy.
Ben, he's been cursed from the second he was born. He got meningitis before he'd even reached 6 months old.
His mum died tragically in South Africa.
Kathy's dead.
Which brought him back to England to live with his estranged father.
He's got an uncle like Ian Beale.
Actually, his half-brother.
He's got an uncle called Ian Beale.
No, still his half-brother, but we get the point. It's Ian Beale.
Stella abusing him at like 12.
Only for her to kill herself. And then Ben was left kind of trapped with a drunken and drug-addicted Phil.
Shy little boy, easily bullied.
I thought the Mitchells were meant to be up.
Loved dance and Billy Elliot.
Oh, well, hang on, what's wrong with that? Oh, yeah, of course.
It's quite clear how Ben has arrived to be this very confused and complex young man today.
Well, fair enough, really. If you are a semi-orphaned, abused half-brother of Ian Beale forced to live in Walford with Phil Mitchell as your father...
Phil!
Yep, that's going to do some long-lasting damage.
We've seen Phil urge him to stand up for himself for many years.
He says something to you again, you slap him down, yeah? Straight in, no mucking around, no messing around.
And when Ben finally did, he attacked Jordan.
No, not that Jordan. Yes, that's the one.
Wimp. You think telling on me is gonna make anything change? Running to your dad like a big baby. You're gonna get it twice as bad now.
You need slapping down.
Phil says stick up for yourself, you get someone over be around her. You know, she takes things a little bit too far at times.
Technically a spanner. Thought he was meant to be a mechanic. Anyway, this was no laughing matter for Ben, because the consequences of his first crime were disastrous.
I therefore sentence you to a 15-month detention and training order. What? Escort the prisoner to the cells.
For a shy, confused kid like Ben, getting sent down was the worst thing that could happen to him. Couldn't stand up for himself in school, so, you know, how is he going to cope inside?
We understand each other.
It seemed not particularly well.
Some bad things happened to him in there, and Ben blames Phil for being in there, so the bad things that happened to him in there are Phil's fault.
When Ben came out of the detention centre, it was immediately clear that his time inside had changed him.
They do look very different, yeah. He grew up a lot.
We saw a much darker character on a very different path.
Ben comes back from juvie. He walks in to Phil's house, and there's the whole family round, and they're all toasting Jay because it's his initiation into the Mitchell clan.
You are now officially part of the Mitchell family. So if you'd all like to raise your glasses to Jay Mitchell. Jay Mitchell.
Jay Mitchell.
Cheers. Well, isn't this cosy?
Ben was very upset when he found that Jay was very much in the fold of Phil's arms, as it were.
Don't get used to it. You'll be out soon.
Oh, and you're going to make me, huh?
I'll find a way.
Yeah, of course you will.
That's promise.
Ben should be one getting the homecoming, getting the toast made. Ben should be to Ben, not to Jay. And I think that sets the tone.
I want him to be proud of me. I want to show him I'm as good as Jay.
Jay's the son that Phil always wanted.
Come on, my son. And again. Come on. Oh, he's a natural. Yeah, of course he is. He's a Mitchell, isn't he?
He wants his dad's approval. He wants his dad to pat him on the head and go, well done, son, I'm proud of you. You're one of us. You're a Mitchell.
I need to turn out of the box. Show my dad I'm not going to be pushed around here. You need to keep your fists up at all times. Keep your eyes on me. What am I going to do? Don't just look at my gloves. Look at my eyes.
And it was during his efforts to toughen up that viewers finally got confirmation of what everyone had suspected all along.
When Ben finally came out to Phil, I don't think it was any surprise at all.
Dad, I'm gay.
He was a completely different child to the son that Phil wanted and expected.
Phil's confused by him. It's a difficult thing for Phil to get his head around. And obviously, he's uncomfortable and unhappy about him being gay.
He's never been the man that his dad wanted in his eyes. He's not a Mitchell. He's not a man's man.
He may not have had the Mitchell brawn, but he certainly had the brain to challenge his father.
There was a very important line that Phil responded to Ben, which was, "You'll never be Mitchell enough for me." And the whole stalking storyline was Ben's attempt to show his dad that he can be Mitchell enough.
Phil starts to receive letters, messages and photographs, all related to his past crimes. And of course, as he doesn't have a lot of friends in the square, he suspects pretty much everyone.
Ben conducted a campaign of psychological warfare with all the letters and cuttings. So he's worried and stressed Phil out as much as he possibly could.
How far will you go to make his life a misery?
It's been a long time coming, Shell.
Depending on which side of the bed he gets out in the morning, he either wants his dad to suffer or he wants his dad to throw his arms around him for approval.
After a seemingly harmless public humiliation...
Car, let a proper driver have a go, come on.
Ben had finally had enough, and as a result, he lied to Marsden about Phil murdering Stella.
He was going to kill Stella. Make amends for what she did to me.
He just takes things further than a normal person would take them.
He told her to jump. Otherwise, he'd push her.
It wasn't long before Phil found out the shocking truth.
This should clear things up.
Well, it was you! You!
Yeah, and I loved every minute of it.
Phil was instantly arrested for murder and looked like he was going to go down for quite a long time.
Philip Mitchell, I'm arresting you on suspicion of the murder of Stella Crawford.
After years of trying to prove himself to his dad, it seemed Ben had finally turned to the dark side.
So, what do you reckon then, Dad? You proud of me? Am I enough of a Mitchell for you now?
Ben would not have become a murderer without a victim, though, and Hev's grisly end began with a celebration at Wolford's hottest and only night spot, R&R's.
It's Heather's hen night, so there's a few twists and turns going on. We have a bit of a reminiscent dance, don't we?
Yeah. We're very good, aren't we? I think we're naturally talented.
Cheryl's been fiddling about with the stripper.
I have not been...
on set.
I have not been fiddling.
And now she's positively... weak.